Welcome, Sister Amazons and Witches. I'm Lori the Witchcrafter, and we are well into the autumn season, and it's time to be thinking about, we've already passed Mabon, and so Hollow Mass is coming up. And we often say, or you'll hear it said, that during Hallows, the veil between the worlds is very thin. And so it's a great time for divination. And this is the time of the year we'll often make rune sets. And of course, we're still working on our tarot cards, which we can use for divination. And so I've got the Hollow Mass card here, just as a reminder to pull out your cards as you're working on your crafts. But today we're going to be focusing on the divination tool of the divining rods. Now, these are very simple to make. No muss, no fuss. You can pick the tubing up and the little copper wires up at almost any of the craft stores around. And I'll give you the measurements on these once we head on over to the work table and get started. But for now, I want to point out how these are used, or how I like to use them in training, because they're free spinning, right? We can force them to spin around and twirl them around, and they're great fun. But how I like to use them is when we think about the energies, or our energetic bodies, and the energies that we put out into the world or that we take in. This is a really good exercise for visualizing. It gives a visual representation to what our energy is doing and how we can control it. So, for instance, I've got the rods here, and I'm thinking just completely opening to you and getting this message to you, and see the wands or the rods just open right up. I'm giving you my energy. I'm sending it out to you. But conversely, if I want to close and I want to block energies from coming my way, I can certainly get them to close up. And it's a little bit hard to do it right now because I want to be so open, but I'm thinking about pulling them in and pulling my energy in and blocking energy coming from the world around me. Okay, now I want to open back up. I want to open to you and just let my energy flow out to you, and there they go. Okay, so this is a really good tool for new witches, to get them to see how, with simple thought, how we can throw our energy out there or close our energy off, and thus controlling how we affect the world and how the world affects us. So let's get started with making these. And so come on over to the work table with me. So we're out in the garage at the work table, and I thought I'd show you the list of materials, which is very short actually, that you're going to need to make the divining rods. So the first one there is for the handles. And you go to onlinemetals.com, and you're going to buy, if you're making them just for yourself, you're going to need, I think the shortest they sell it is an 11-inch long piece of 1/4 inch or 0.25 outer diameter copper round tubing with a inner diameter of 0.18. So those are for the handles. Okay, so that would be these two pieces down here. And there's the larger rod up here is the 11-inch piece. Okay. The next thing that you're going to need is, I picked them up off of Amazon.com, are the rods, and they're the Amco wire form soft metal rods, copper, 16 gauge. They come in a 6-pack, and the part number is 50152X, and those are $10.70 plus shipping. So this is not a cheap project, but a very rewarding one. And it's actually very easy to do. So I'm gonna pull back here, and these are the rods, the AMCO wire form AMCO rods. And there's the okay. So it's basically 2 handles and 2 rods out of this 6-pack to make one set of divining rods. So I'm going to set up now to do that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so this is really all that those rods are, is the 2 rods and the 2 handles. Now I've cut these 2 pieces off the larger rod, and there on the end of it, I'm hoping you can see there's a few little barbs there on the inside and the outside, and I want to definitely get rid of those. So I'm going to start with a little round file that I picked up at Harbor Freight, and it's in this kit. Excuse my mess, but little tiny files, about the size of my finger, the length of my finger. Got them at Harbor Freight. I'm sure you could probably pick them up on Amazon too, but this round one works really well for getting down inside that tube and filing out the burrs. Okay, and then I'm going to take some steel wool. Actually, there's enough burr there. I think I'm going to have to go with like a little piece of sandpaper. That's nice. That was 120. Now this is going to be like a 220, I think. Maybe even finer than that. Just going to roll it a couple times. So the last thing you want is to get cut on a metal burr. You want the top nice and free so that your rod will spin very easily. And go a little bit more. That feels right. Now I'm going to take it with the steel wool, twist it in there. Steel wool will also shine up the copper, so we have like that little bit of oxidization there. It's being stubborn, but yeah, you can see the difference now, say between this one and the one that hasn't been done yet. Okay. I'll keep working away at that. Okay, so that looks good. Okay, so you do that with both handles. So now we've got our two handles. We've decided which is the top of our handles. So our next bit is then to take the rod itself and insert it. There's a little oomph-la on that, so I'm going to, a little burr there, so I'm going to do some work on it with the steel wool. Because again, we want everything nice and smooth so nothing hinders the spin of the rod. That feels better. Now we want to be careful because we don't want to bend up this rod. We want it to be able to spin very freely inside the tube. So we insert it through the tube and let it come out the other end. And then we take a pair of needle nose pliers. We bend over, a little over 1/4 of an inch, just at a right angle, okay, so that it looks like that. And then we're going to do the same thing at the top. We're going to push it down a little bit so we have a little bit of room at the top for it to spin around, but not much, okay. So we're going to take it and bend it in the same direction that we bent our bottom, okay. And that's all there is to it. Bend this down a little farther, and there we go. We see if it spins freely. And it certainly does. Okay. Actually, I want to give a little more play in it. So I'm going to come back down to the bottom. Straighten that out a bit. Bend a little less, so give us a little more sticking out at the top. Much better. It's a much freer spin now. And yes, definitely working with it. Opening my energy. And there it goes. Yeah. And then closing my energy. All right. Now let's make the other one. It seems to be, we have to go back and give a little bit more from the bottom. And there we go. That one's spinning nicely. Yep. Keep hitting the leg of my tripod. Open and close. And there you have it. That is our set. There we go. I think that's just about perfect. Okay. And there we have it. Quick and easy project. And that is the divining rods are the second craft in the fall season. There are only 2 crafts. And this concludes the fall season of the first year in a day study in the Amazon tradition with the divining rods. And why divining rods? Because they're done just in time for Hallowmass, when the veil between the worlds gets very thin and we can ask our questions and dive deep into our own psyches and use these rods to locate lost objects, to give us yes and no answers from within ourselves, and to practice opening and closing our own energy. So with that, get to making your own divining rods, and we'll see you next time when we conclude with as we transition into the winter season, we'll conclude with our winter crafts. We'll see you next time on the Amazon Witchcrafter.